Hello everyone. If you don't know who I am, my name is Eric. I was a collegiate kicker and punter back in the day, created Kickers of Earth a couple years ago to help educate kickers and punters that are either trying to learn it out on their own or know someone that's a kicker and punter, and just create the one-stop shop for all things education related to kickers and punters. So thank you for watching and sharing and subscribing and supporting the channel. It really helps me out and really means the world to me. So today's topic is more so around what is a perfect swing, what is an authentic swing, and how can you make it work for you? And again, everyone is different, everyone is unique. So we'll break down some of the steps that I go through with my kids and my students, and how I sort of explain what makes a perfect or authentic swing, unique to you. So again, whenever I'm working with a client or a student, I break it down in the way that makes sense to me. It's like a logical explanation, and it's almost a no-brainer as how one should think whenever they're kicking or punting, and just making sure that you're hitting all the basics, right? Because there's a lot of things that everyone does differently. I am not similar to really any other kickers, and vice versa. Like, they're not similar to me, and that's totally fine. I don't want that to be the case, because then you're probably leaving some natural ability on the table because you're doing something that someone else does, as opposed to doing something that's perfect for you. So what I mean by that is there's certain tendencies that we all do that we should be doing that will make us successful every time from a kicker and punter standpoint across the board. There are some things that need to be addressed that, assuming you hit those, the rest we'll figure it out. And again, that's authentic to you and your situation. And the first bit is the plant foot and hitting your plant foot every single time. Meaning, if you are back here, let's say the ball is the camera and I'm going right to you, traditionally guys will sort of snake back and forth, and they're hoping that they're going to get to their plant, and they're doing one of these soccer styles where they'll come in and twist open and try to hit the ball. That's going to cause a lot of issues. So instead, let's try to put train tracks from the plant foot all the way to the ball and attack that and just trust it. So everything is going straight, and you're going to stick your plant foot and drive forward upfield. So that's the first little bit, is being able to trust your plant foot and trust that it will go directly where you need it to go. You point your head, shoulders, knees, and toes, and feet, and everything to the plant foot, and you simply just go that direction. That's the first little bit, is the plant foot. Second part of this whole core component of kicking field goals and punting correctly is the contact spot. So most guys, what they'll do is they will start their swing with their foot open, and then they'll try to lock it down as they come in to kick, and that's going to cause inconsistencies over the long period of time, because sometimes you might make it work, sometimes it might not catch correctly, and you're leaving your foot open, and now it's going to shank off to the left or to the right. So what I mean is, some guys will come in already with their foot open, and then they'll try to catch up at the end, or some guys never know about this and they'll just keep their foot open the whole time, and they're basically that you have to hit it so precise on that bone, that second shoelace of your foot, to where if you don't hit it right there, you're very likely going to hit the toe of your foot, which is probably where you're hitting it most of the time, or you're hitting it both places where you're hitting it on your toe and the bone of your foot. So it's creating that X ball, that rotation, because it's hitting two parts of your foot at the same time. So instead, in a perfect world, what we would want is on your drive step, you're already in a flex position. So your foot is already flexed, and now you're simply going to lock down and drive through. And then after your leg goes through its follow through, right about here is where you can start to do whatever you want with your foot, assuming that you're still swinging forward through it. So ideally, what you'd want is for your foot to be locked down from the drive step all the way to contact. So boom, already right here, we're already locked, and then we come in, lock down, and then everything is still, flexed until the ball has completely left your foot. Now the third little piece of this is controversial to most, and that's where your eyes should be and how long they should be looking at the ball. So for me, I'm a big fan of keeping your eyes back on the point of contact for a pretty long period of time, because it does keep you composed keeps everything locked in just a little bit longer. So most guys, what they'll do is they'll already be looking up right about now, or they'll kick, the ball just hit their foot, and then they're looking up. So for me, and what I teach my guys is just, you don't have to do it any super long period of time. It's really just keep your eyes back just a fraction of a second longer than you typically would. For me, personally, I like whenever my foot comes down, then I look up, because it does keep me disciplined and make sure that everything is locked in the way that it needs to be. So, but for most people, they just feel comfortable just a little bit longer than they normally would. They'll swing and then they'll look up just a little bit after the ball's left their foot. That's totally fine. I just want people to be more disciplined in their eye contact, or their eyes back, mentality. Now, the next little bit of this is where your arms should be when you come into swing. So some guys, they'll come, really over top of the ball or over the top of their body, or they'll throw their arm down like an X. And no matter the case, unless you're putting your arm directly out to your side, or maybe like to your eye height, there's really no other situation that is what I would consider efficient for your body. Again, it's not like I'm the guru behind all things kicking, but it's just from a logical standpoint, if you do throw everything down, your body is going to collapse too. So ideally, we should try to keep our body and arm a little bit taller to make sure that our body posture stays tall too. And again, to match that, when you use your arm in the right way, not only is your body posture going to be a little bit better, but you're also going to make sure that your leg is working faster too. So when you see a sprinter, or when you hear track coaches talk, it's something revolving around the arms a lot of times, because the faster you pump your arms, the faster your legs will move, in a perfect world, of course. And same thing applies to kicking, where you don't want to be like crazy with it and like throw the arm out so much that you're popping your shoulder out of place, but you do want to be a firm and, again, disciplined with locking it out, because in unison, that arm and leg are going to be synchronized whenever you come in to hit the ball. So that's more of the technical side of things, and that's the more core components behind the field goal. There's a lot of other things that go into it, but if you do hit your plant foot, you have a solid foot to ball contact, and you keep a tall posture with solid eyes, I do think that way more times than not, assuming that you swing your leg straight through the ball, that's going to result in a made kick way more often than guys that are just winging it every time. But now we're going to cover the more mental side of things to make sure that you're hitting your perfect swing and your perfect authentic swing every single time. So again, I said this a little bit earlier, but every single kicker in the world has their own unique swing. You take all 32 professional kickers, line them up, not a single one of them will have the same swing over 100 kicks right next to each other. They're all going to have something that they do uniquely to them that makes them feel comfortable. And that's what's so cool, is you have the ability to do something that makes you feel natural and consistent and comfortable in your own routine. And the cool thing about a routine is it will put you in your zone. It will put you in your comfort zone that you feel comfortable and confident in. Because let's say you have a game where you're very nervous, which again, nerves are good. It's going to be like an adrenaline rush almost. It makes you feel alive, and it's a good note, because it means that you care about this thing that you're doing if you are nervous. But let's say you're nervous in a game. Having that routine to lean back on is a good thing, because when you're doing something 1,000 to 10,000 times to build up a routine, and then assuming that you've kept it the same way every single time, if you're in a state game or a national championship, you'll still be a little bit nervous, but you'll be considerably less nervous after you've gone through your routine, because you've done it so many times subconsciously. You're already in a place where your brain isn't so focused on the how, more so the why or the what behind it all. So meaning, if you have that mentality of, just simply keep it simple and trust everything that you've done it's not so much how am I going to make this field goal, it's just like, yeah, we're just going to make this field goal because you've done it so many times, like your body is used to it. So to sort of tie that all together, let's say you're about to kick a state-winning championship field goal, and you're going back into your stance. You've done the routine so many times, and it's mainly just a matter of knowing that you're prepared, because realistically, fear is and nervousness and like lack of confidence comes from not being prepared. But if you've done it enough times and you've practiced it 1,000 to 10,000 times, it's almost second nature. Like, you see these pros like Justin Tucker in the interview that he did recently, he talks about how he's a system kicker. I mean, that makes total sense because he's done it so many times. He doesn't have to think about how he needs to use his body to kick a field goal. He literally just shuts his brain off and just acts. And it happens because he's done it so many times with his team that he doesn't have to think about anything, and he just reacts, basically, which is exactly what we as kickers and punters should be doing. And again, that is the best part about having a routine, is you're so locked in and you're so focused that there's no amount of nerves that can really shake it, because you get to the point when you're in your ready stance and you know in the back of your head you're going to make it because of all the work that you've put in over the past couple months and years and decades even. So again, my routine is different from your routine, but I'll kind of walk you through what I do and what I mean by having something that is unique to each and every person. So when I get set, let's say the ball is this black line right here. I'll go in and I'll walk through and kind of talk through everything that I do out loud so that you can get an understanding. So the ball's right here. I'll kind of get my foot set and I'll set my footing, to get my grounding essentially, and I'll sort of create a little spot. And I like that feeling because it really sets the tone essentially of me about to do what I do. So I go back. I already take one deep breath from when I first start. So back here, in through the nose, out through the mouth. It's harder to do it when I'm talking, but I had an issue in the past of like keeping my foot down. I would pop my foot up a lot. So ever since, 7-8 years ago, I would start to like lock my foot down, line it up with the ball and then the target, and then I'd come back. Another deep breath, arm out 90 degrees, feet shoulder width apart as far as width. You go 2 steps. For me, I like to go about a half step back. So if I cut my foot in half, my toe will go about to the middle spot of that foot, and then I'll go up. I'll tap my foot down, lock that foot again, or flex the calf, point the toe, whatever you want to call it. Line the target up to the imaginary target. So I'm imagining the ball going there, lining it up with the holder and myself, and creating like an angle essentially, and seeing how that would look, as far as a line goes, so I can visualize the line going right to where I need it to go. Once I look back, I'll shrug my shoulders and sort of get that nervous weight off me, and then I'll sort of flap my left arm. And it's hilarious because as I'm talking about it out loud, I realize how many things that I do in my head that are comfortable for me. These are all habits that I've picked up over the years that just feel completely natural. And I probably have 10 to 15 things total that I do from start to finish that are done subconsciously, because I've done them so many times that by the time I'm here in my stance and I'm ready to go and I'm all set, like I do a quick nod. And then the cool thing is, I didn't even touch on this part too, but I'll tap my foot, come back, shrug, do the little flap, and then I'll center my weight and my energy on my feet, so I'm not too top heavy or back heavy. I'm nice and centered in the middle. And then I'll also kind of tuck my hips in a little bit to give myself a little bit more centered gravity and make sure that my hips are in line. And then most of the time I'll sort of do a little hip wiggle to make sure that I'm finding the center point between the ball and the plant. And I want to be able to like lock in so that I'm pointing right where I need to go. So again, all of these things are done subconsciously. I don't think about them, but now that I explained it out loud, I realize like how many things there really are that I do specifically that is unique to me. And again, it's comfortable. So whenever I get in a game situation, I have no doubts that I'm going to do what I do and make it, because I know that I've put in all the work, but I also have something that I can lean on to whenever I actually am nervous to perform, no matter the level, whether it's an exhibition match where we're up by 45 points or a national championship. It's something that you can always have in the back of your head, like to, again, fall back on when you are nervous. So that is the essence of having a routine that is authentic to you. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching it this far. If you did like it, please like, comment, and subscribe. Share it with some friends. Again, trying to make this a one-stop shop for all things kicking and punting related. So if you did find value in this, please share it with someone. It would mean the world to me. Again, I'm really trying to help out anyone I can, from anyone all over the world, all over the globe, to self-educate themselves on the kicking and punting journey that is pretty confusing a lot of times. So again, thank you so much for watching, and we'll talk soon.